Well, I was sitting in a hair salon getting my hair cut because those of you who've been watching lately realize that I get my hair cut once a day. And as I was leaving, lying on the table, there was a copy of Rolling Stone magazine, formerly a huge glossy magazine, and now looking very much like the Dubuque, Iowa car trader that you might find outside of the 7-Eleven in a rack. But they had a segment on there on movies of the year, and I just had a little tiny bit of time to kill, so I thought I would take a look at it. And I just wanted to present to you this attitude, which we talk about all the time, on the part of the elite, who are so absolutely outraged that their script was rejected, or at the very least resuscitated and produced with the addition of a talking dog. They do not like what's going on in America, and they're not afraid to show it. So it's been a long time since we did a lightning round, guys, with back and forth with relatively quick answers. So I thought we might do this. So here's the review written by Peter Travers in Rolling Stone of the top 10 movies of the year, and I've marked like 5 or 6 of them or something. And forgive me for using my eyeglasses, but I have lost my eyesight in service to my vices. Okay, so here we go. Dunkirk, he doesn't have anything particularly marked to say. By the way, the title is Movies of the Year, and then directly below that, in 2017, Hollywood took on the past through today's scary present. No wonder we want to get out. Hashtag Oscars hate Trump.
Wait. Has he seen declining ticket sales? People are leaving their house less, you idiot Rolling Stone person.
Well, we'll get to that.
Sorry.
Number 2 on his list of great movies was Get Out. It's a horror movie written by Jordan Peele, who's Key and Peele were hilarious on Comedy Central, if a little biased. Here's what he wrote, though. Basically Daniel Kaluuya doesn't know what he's in for when his girlfriend Allison Williams takes him home to white suburbia, but black culture isn't the only thing being co-opted. In the year's most exciting directorial debut, Jordan Peele juggles scares and laughs to skewer racial hypocrisy in an America that refuses to get woke. Steve, what is the living hell of America that refuses to get woke today?
I don't know. I really don't. The fact that a movie like Get Out could be made speaks volumes to how far we've come. It really does.
Doesn't it, though? Doesn't it?
I don't know if you've seen it, but it is, by turns, scary and laugh out loud funny. I adored that movie, and to try and make political hay out of it just shows how desperate they are.
It also shows how unwoke you are.
Well,
woke up, damn you.
Nap.
Okay, number 3, Scotty, Call Me By Your Name. I'm going to have to read this one in its entirety. Homophobia has no place in Luca Guadagnino's epic romance set in Italy in 1983, when a musical prodigy, Timothy Chalamet, and his father's handsome assistant, Armie Hammer, experienced the thrill of first love and the gutting pain of its loss, an artistic triumph that insists empathy is the best antidote to intolerance. Are you as shocked as I am, Scott, let me rephrase that. Do you think America is finally ready for a movie about gay people? Or is it just too early at this point for us to simply not just leave the theater in a violent rage?
You know, as far as I don't know when this started, but I remember remarking at some point a decade or two ago how it was notable that every show suddenly had a gay character in it. You know, it was just like, and it wasn't just that, you know, it was like they were making a big deal about the fact that every show had a gay character in it. And, you know, it was a part of a process that was intentional on the part of Hollywood to normalize what used to be considered to be aberrant or harmful behavior. And it's been going on forever and ever. So this ain't, you know, this is not the breaking of Brokeback Mountain here. You know, if they want to make it seem like this behavior is normal, then stop pointing at it and drawing attention to it in that way. It's just, why isn't it just a movie about a relationship? Why are they making, why is it a big deal that he's homosexual?
Yeah, I think, Peter Travers, if you're watching, and I know you are, an artistic triumph that insists empathy is the best antidote to intolerance would be the story of a young gay man who admits that he's a conservative, and watch what happens to him. Watch what happens to him then. Steve, back to you. This is from 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri, the review by Peter Travers. The end of it says, McDormand and McDonough, a match forged in fire, catch the helplessness and fury we're all feeling right now. It's a bit grand, isn't it, that we're all feeling right now? I'm going to grant him the editorial excuse of saying that when he says that we're all feeling right now, he's talking about the hundreds and hundreds of readers of Rolling Stone magazine. How is your helplessness and fury meter now, Steve? Is it pretty much pegged?
I would have to be woke to watch that movie because I fell asleep during your description of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, you need
what is this conjugation of this verb to wake? I don't get that.
Woke is an expression.
Whatever happened to awaken?
Woke is an expression. It's an expression for those people that are fully aware of the racial, social, and horrible injustices institutionally built into this horror of America that we all live in.
Yeah,
so they're ironically misconjugating the verb?
Well, it's the short version of if you're not outraged, you're not paying attention. So you're woke. You're paying attention and you're outraged about everything you see all the time.
It's a made-up word for a made-up problem. Okay, here's what he has to say about the Post, which is the story of the Washington Post. It's the story of the media, writers of magazines defending America from the onrushing Hitlerian concentration camps that Nixon had ready for anyone who disagreed with him. Here's what Peter Travers writes at the end of that. Any relationship to Trump's war against free press is purely intentional. Walk, walk, walk. See what I did there? Streep could be headed for Oscar #4 as a woman spoiling to be heard over an army of patronizing men. Spielberg's speed is of the essence. Direction speaks with relevant power to the past, present, and a chilling future. These people are writing and thinking like the sweet meteor of death is visible in the heavens above us, and the shadow grows in front of our eyes, by the moment.
And Bill, this is the last great thing that's happened in journalism, and it's 1973 all over again. I mean,
That's right. The press is still wearing that around their neck as the great laurels of bringing down a corrupt man, which you can make the case they did. But
Sure.
At that point, they got off the train and no more seeing of anything.
Tell you what, it's great to see. It's great to see a tribute to the newspaper that came in second on breaking the story.
Awesome. Okay. Guillermo del Toro's Shape of Water gets this treatment from the progressive left here. It's about a woman who basically falls in love with the creature from the Black Lagoon. The result speaks volumes about what we choose to label alien. What we choose to label alien. I choose to label alien something that is from outside of our particular cultural standards, or something along those lines.
Was this Myrmidon an illegal alien? What was this?
He was. I didn't see the movie, but he. Let me rephrase that.
I was too busy seeing The
I could tell
Greatest
from the
Showman
trailer
twice
that I
to
was.
go see
I was
it.
told from the. I could clearly make out from the trailer that this particular creature from the Black Lagoon was fully woke, and therefore deserveth not our censure. Steve, what do you think about that?
Oh boy. Okay, I have a rule of thumb, Bill. Never see any movie that either the trailer or the reviews say that it speaks volumes about, or that it is a scathing indictment of.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Which means that you're now basically watching a 2-hour-long visual policy paper.
I heard all the complaints about the new Star Wars movie, which I quite enjoyed because, I want to see people battle with lightsabers. I want to watch spaceships blow up and all the rest. And I want to do this in the dark with my popcorn, not being woke all the time.
All right.
I would go to see a movie that speaks volumes about entertainment and is a scathing rebuke to boldom.
Yeah, well,
That's
there
all
you
I
go.
want.
Yes, please.
We're almost there, folks. Number 8, Detroit. This worthy's my entire the entire paragraph he wrote on it. Director Catherine Bigelow and screenwriter Mark Bowl take an incendiary look at the 1967 Detroit race riots, still alive and toxic in the police brutality and systematic racism of today. Audiences stayed away. Big mistake. Detroit is hard to take. It's also impossible to forget. What apparently is possible to forget, who did I ask last? Who's
me?
Yes, Scott.
Scott's
What apparently it is possible to forget is that the ruin of Detroit has been caused by something like 70 years of uninterrupted democratic rule. I'm pretty sure the movie leaves that out. Certainly this review does. What do you think of this idea of the systematic racism that simply can't be washed out of American cities where Democrats have basically ruled for 50, 60, 70, 80 years and where the murder rates rival, Honduras?
Well, I think the movie's doing poorly for the same reason that Detroit eventually did poorly, and that is that the entire operation's being run by union labor. So I think that's what it's the Screenwriters Guild and the Actors Guild and all the Lollipop Guild and all the other ones and the Lullaby League.
Don't forget the Film Actors Guild.
At some point. And we testified to this in 2 episodes recently that Hollywood is capable of making an entertaining picture, and at some point they will realize that your message gets across best when you don't pull out a bugle and announce that you're about to give a message.
They won't get that. They will never get that. Okay, 2 to go very quickly. His review of Ghost Story closes with, Here's an ardent, ambitious, challenging experiment that restores our faith in film as an art form. Steve, restores our faith in film as an art form. Is he speaking for himself? Is he speaking for the country? I saw a movie recently that restored my faith in a very small group of filmmakers using film as an art form. But in terms of our faith in film as an art form, my regard for filmmaking has never been lower, and I considered myself to be one once.
Matt Damon.
You and your 1-word, 2-word answers. You mock me with thy wit. Here's the last one. This is the one, actually, folks, to be honest with you. These are, by the way, cheaters. That's why they're on so crooked. This was the one that made me want to cover this for this Right Angle episode. And the last one is the review of Darkest Hour, the Winston Churchill story. And this is what Peter Travers wrote in Rolling Stone magazine about Darkest Hour. Gary Oldman gives the performance of the year as Winston Churchill in a film that digs into the political repercussions of the battles on the beaches of Dunkirk in 1940. Joe Wright's film, with its bristling interior energy, is a provocative companion piece to Nolan's epic and tops 2017 with 2 cinematic takes about a world on the brink of catastrophe. Sound familiar?
Sound familiar to what?
To America, to his audience.
What does it mean on the brink of catastrophe? The Germans were conquering France.
This is my entire point of doing this episode. This is what these people think. They think that the election of Donald Trump is Hitler on the Channel, with waves of bombers coming overhead. It is just absolutely insane. It is delusional, and it is the reason that Rolling Stone is bankrupt and that Hollywood is following soon after.
Well, and let me say, Bill, as you well know, that most movies that try to capture some sort of historical moment are telescoping that into the present. And so, they don't just tell a story of something that happened in 1940. They are actually trying to say something about the current day. And that's true of movies that I would think are terrific and movies that I think are terrible. That's just part of the art form. That's what writers do. They want to say something about their times, and they do it by telling a story about some other time. That said, I can't help but think that they're shooting themselves in the foot. It's not just the writers at Rolling Stone, it's the whole industry that they become sycophantically and symbiotically related to, is the whole industry and the political cronies that are tied in with that industry all have been drinking the same Kool-Aid. And they have all deluded themselves into thinking that middle America is going out there in droves to see The Shape of Water or, any of these movies. Frankly, the only one on this list that you've said, that we've talked about today that I want to see is the Churchill one. Mm-hmm. And as our viewers know, it's because I just finished reading 3 volumes of Churchill. I'm a history buff. I would, until you said this today, I had no idea what The Shape of Water was about, other than it was the title of a film. And I think that I'm probably more typical than the average Rolling Stone reader of America at large.
As I do too. Yeah. I saw out of the corner of my eye at a restaurant having a much finer time than I would have ever watching the show. I saw a little bit of the Golden Globes, and I saw, without hearing, the people, oh, me, and walking up to the podium and clutching the dear golden calf and thanking everybody for validating them. And I look at these people who I associate with, and who, frankly, I used to be one before I became a better person. And I look at them clutching these golden statues, and I think to myself, here for 20 seconds is a relief from the emptiness and the hollowness that they feel all their lives, and their cynicism and their defects and their terrible, terrible, terrible black hole of need that lives inside them and can never be filled. And Travers is of this stripe. I think it's just ironic that he would basically refer to this Churchill movie as a warning for our times. The one thing that I can assure you with a great deal of confidence, certainly Scott can, we read the same book, and Steve knows the history as well. If Winston Churchill were here today, beholding the Donald Trump presidency, I don't know how much of a fan of Donald Trump's he would be, but I do know this. Winston Churchill hated socialism with every cell in his body. And Churchill would have looked at Donald Trump and said, this is the man who is stopping the tyranny of the mind control freaks that make up the left. As usual, they've got it absolutely backwards. Not that that's news to anybody. I just thought I'd give you an update. Here in Los Angeles, it's raining. Steve mentioned in our just before we taped the show that it's my James Brown.
James Taylor. Got it.
Well, I'm the hardest working man in show business. Beg your pardon. It's my James Taylor moment out here in Los Angeles. I've seen fire and now I've seen rain. This is what the arrival of rain in Los Angeles presages the arrival of kudos season, a 2-month-long orgy of self-congratulation of people who were once banned from polite society, and if this review is any indication, for damn good reason as well. I'm Bill Whittle. This is your Right Angle team. Thanks very much for joining us. We'll see you next week.